Marcus Rashford. Glorious! That is a special one.
Boom, bam, bam. Welcome to the United Hour. I am President Chad, and this guy next to me is Courtney. We're supposed to be joined by one other guest. Let's hope he can make it. Taking in the United Hour either on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. So you know what to do, fellas. Like it, and ladies, like it, share it, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. We are going to be talking about Manchester United players lighting it up in the World Cup. We're also going to be talking a little bit about who are the underperforming teams and the overperforming teams in the group stage, because some big guns heading home today, right? And we're going to look forward a little bit and see, which teams, who's the next big gun that we think might be looking to head home. And of course, we have the top shutter and boo boo later in the program. So let's jump straight into it. Manchester United players have really been lighting it up. They have the most goals tied with PSG so far in terms of the club teams with the most goals in the World Cup. Manchester United and PSG tied top with 6 goals each, right? Marcus, yes, 2. Bruno Fernandes
have 2, yes, right.
Has 2. I ain't sure where the next 2 come from, but it's 6 goals so far.
All right.
And overall, United players have been looking good.
Casemiro have 1.
Right, Casemiro has 1.
So we just have to figure out who are the next one.
Yeah, I kind of concerned a little bit though.
Why? Talk to me.
Because for me, we don't know how fatigue is going to play in the second half of the season.
True.
And I'm seeing a lot of my rivals. Our third guest is here. The man Zaire. How you doing, big brother?
I'm fine, guys. I'm fine. I'm doing a lot better than Chad might be doing this afternoon. For sure.
Zaire, come out swinging, boy.
Listen, I violence right through, boy.
I would have been earlier, but I had to stop at Woodford Cafe in Chabonas when I was monitoring the scores on the way home, and I'm sitting in Häagen-Dazs, enjoying a little dessert while I'm hearing the German fans cheering every goal that they score. All the while I'm laughing my head off because it's still 2-1 to Japan and they're going home.
I hear you, boy. You're fighting.
Oh, Lord. Good afternoon to Martin Phillip on the inside. Yes, so back to our conversation before Zaire came and tried to take us off course. So I'm enjoying seeing Marcus and Shaw perform well. Dalot hasn't really gotten a real run out as yet. I'm enjoying seeing Bruno Fernandes hit some form. I'm enjoying Casemiro. I'm enjoying seeing United players do well. But my concern is, how are they going to? How is that going to affect them in the second half of the season? A seaman like Kai Havertz gets sent home today. And you're seeing men like Kevin De Bruyne. Men like Kevin De Bruyne get sent home today. And you know to yourself, these guys going to have a lot of extra rest versus United players. But that's my thing. But before we deal with the possible negative side of it, who are the standouts for you, Courtney, and how you feel about seeing United players light it up in the World Cup?
I'm happy that players are finding form in the World Cup. It bodes well for us coming back. Hopefully they can transition that form from the World Cup into the second half of the season. I know fatigue is a serious concern for me, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Who I'm most happy for is Harry Maguire. For all the stick that Harry has been getting for the last 2 seasons. It's good for him to come in. Yes, Zahir. Why are you looking at me like that, Zahir? I am happy for him because he's gone to the English camp under a lot of scrutiny. And for the most part, he's looked a pretty decent player for the World Cup for England. Granted, they haven't run into any serious opposition as yet. But I would think it bodes well for his mental health, where he could, catch back a little Pasha form, and then come back after the World Cup, come back once England does well. Or even if England doesn't go the distance that we expect them to go, he would come back in a much better mental place to, come back into the squad, fight for his place, and possibly carry on the form that he's found in the World Cup into the league. That's my thing. Bruno is looking good. Marcus is scoring goals. I'm still trying to figure out why Southgate is not starting him, but I'm guessing his game plan right now is to use him as an impact sub. Casemiro looking good. Fred has had a couple of cameos here and there in the Brazil team. Who else? I can't remember if Garnacho got a run out.
No, Garnacho, they didn't take Garnacho.
Right.
Pelestri got a little run out.
Pelestri. That's what I was thinking about. Sorry. Pelestri got a little run out. Still looking real rough around the edges. I know his agent has been touting that he needs a move away from Old Trafford and whatnot, but I didn't see anything in the World Cup in that Uruguay squad that would say that he's ready to play at the highest level. He's a great talent, but I didn't see anything that had me saying, yeah, boy, he ready to run out for the senior team. Who else? Anthony was injured for the last game. I'm hoping that it's not a serious injury. I haven't heard any updates. So, Chad, maybe you heard something more than me. And yeah, outside of that, Eriksen has been being Eriksen. He's been leading Denmark. He may not be scoring, but he has seen his presence in their midfield.
I'm glad that they're on the way back home.
Well, yeah, but it would have been a nice Cinderella story. I just saying that.
Yeah, well, I mean, don't get me wrong, not that I didn't want them to progress, but the fact that they didn't progress, I'm not upset because it means more rest for Eriksen. Let me just touch on some comments here from Carlton. Carlton is saying Maguire doesn't have McFred in front of him. Maguire doesn't have the responsibility that he has with United, and therefore he should be expected to shine with the likes of Bellingham and Rice in front of him. So who have been your standouts here, and who are you feeling most proud of as a United supporter, seeing them on the big stage, lighting it up?
Definitely Marcus, because after everything he dealt with at the Euros, after the drastic loss in form and confidence that he would have suffered last year, coming back from injuries, I saw Carlton, was it Carlton? Or somebody making the point, yes, that Ole almost killed Marcus. Yeah, Ole literally almost ran him into the ground, playing him through the injuries. I look at him now, even in the interviews that he has done that are up on the United website and the official app, he sounds 200% more confident. He sounds like a man at peace with himself. You can see that he is enjoying his football once more. Right? So Marcus has definitely been my standout. Now, Courtney, don't get me wrong. I am happy Harry is doing well. I am not happy for Harry. I am happy for Manchester because it might add on a couple millions onto any price we might want for him should we decide to sell him. Either this summer or next year.
Hold that thought there. I want to ask you a question. Mm-hmm. Do you think it makes sense to sell Harry, given the fact that, one, Rafael Varane's injury record is not the most wholesome? Granted, yes, him and Martinez have a better understanding at the heart of the defense, at least for the medium to short term. I don't think selling Harry is the best option we have, but that's just me.
There has to be. Ideally, I would want somebody with Martinez's skill sets or Rafael Varane's skill sets to replace Harry if we sell him, because even with Rafa being injury prone, the point that Carlton makes where he says Maguire doesn't have the responsibility that he has with United. Southgate's entire defensive system and setup plays to Harry's strengths. I don't want to see Ten Hag have to resort to that. I don't want to see Ten Hag play the Southgate type of football that is going to let Harry Maguire look for United as he does for England, because that's going to be the detriment of the overall performance of the club, right? Therefore, if we want to play the type of football Ten Hag wants to play, we need a better option than Harry.
All right, fair enough.
Right? The player that I'm looking at, that I would have liked to have seen get some minutes, and I think he's the only one who hasn't, was Dalot. Now, that could be a good or a bad thing, because remember, we do have cover at right back. Right? So let us see, given the draw, if as I hope, Portugal wins their group tomorrow, then they play second place.
Like, yes.
They play the second place team from Brazil's group, which at this point could be anybody, right? And that could possibly give them an avenue to get to at least the quarters, maybe the semifinals. So a rested Dalot is good for us, right? He might be a little rusty, but he'll be training intensely with the team, right? And I think that works out good for us. In terms of the ones who have already come home, we have important players who are on the way back. Eriksen is a very important player to our club season, and he's on his way back. So he's going to get himself some rest, right? You have Mejbri on his way back. You have Pelestri on his way back, right? Even though they are not starting players, they are players who, should something happen, it may eventually become necessary to play them, whether in the League Cup or the FA Cup. And then you look at those who we have at home, important players in important positions. Anthony Martial is at home getting fit and working hard. Jadon Sancho, from all reports, is working very hard to get himself back into fitness. So you do have important players there. So barring a catastrophic injury to Marcus or Casemiro, God forbid, I think we'll come out of this World Cup in a pretty good position. Or Bruno, I should say, or Bruno.
All right, let me touch on some comments. See, we have somebody messaging from Twitch. We'll discuss that convo in a little bit. Martin Phillip is saying that Harry must be sold to the highest bidder. Harry in a United shirt is no good. In a Three Lions shirt, it is a different creature. That goes without saying. Last season, Rashford and Sancho were operating near the halfway line because Maguire and McFred were holding on to the ball too long. This time around, is a different fish. Carlton is also letting us know that Jadon Sancho is training with the Netherlands. Yes, that is true. And then we have this comment here from Albi, that for you, Rashford equal overrated. I want to ask you all, we don't want to, everybody has said glowing things about Rashford, and I concur with all of that. But the one question I would ask in line with Albi's statement, for a long time, the argument for Marcus Rashford is he would score in big games. He would score against the Liverpools. He would show up in big ties, in Champions Leagues, but he was not consistent, right? 3 seasons ago, where he, Martial, and Greenwood accounted for over 50-something goals, was the first time, it was his highest goal tally. And then the following seasons, it was horrible. Now, we could attribute those things to injuries, right? So he came off a really good season and was downhill since then. But over the course of his career, he has been a decent performer for us, but he hasn't hit the heights of a Rooney or some of our past greats, you know. His trajectory hasn't really exploded. And one season it did explode. Following that, there was injuries, and you know, it really wasn't. So, what would you say to Albie, who is like, you know, in this follow-up comment here, Rashford is a West Ham player like Lingard.
Hey, let me
You know, what would you
find
say to
the team.
what would you say to supporters that think that Rashford is not good enough or hasn't been consistent enough to lead in line for United?
Well, let's be fair to Marcus. Marcus is not a centre forward. He can't. He's always said and he's always admitted that playing through the middle is not his strong suit. It's something that he has to learn to do, but it's not where he prefers to play. And if we look back to that season where he Mason and Martial were leading the line, they were playing fluid. So you would have points in the game where Marcus would be on top and they would push Martial out wide to keep the defenses unsettled. That front three, because of their pace, their ability on the ball, and their ability to beat men, allowed them the freedom to do what they did. In the subsequent seasons, he was injured. And then we also had managerial changes. We had problems in the back room. We had all these different things happening in the background that affected the way Marcus played. Now you're seeing the change in Marcus, especially you saw it in preseason when he, Martial and Sancho were on top. And what they started to do was to rotate. So for a period of the game, Marcus would be down the left, then he would switch with Sancho, or Sancho would switch with Martial. And you saw when they started to rotate that the team looked a lot more cohesive. I don't think that at least for the first half of the season, he's also had partners. He has a little bit with Anthony, but he doesn't have it as much as he has with Sancho when he's on form and Martial when he's in the team. So I could see where they're saying that his progression has not been as dynamic as Wayne or some of the other youngsters we've had at the club. But what I'm seeing from him this season proves to me that he is a United player. Now, I'm not going to call Marcus a 20-goal a season striker. He's not that type of striker. But what Marcus does is he chips in with goals, so he might get 10, 11, maybe even 15 goals depending on how the season runs. But what he will give you also is assists. What he would give you is tracking back on the ball. He will run 90 minutes. And for me, that's the more important thing. Yes, the goals are important, don't get me wrong, but his ability to contribute to the greater good gives other people the opportunity to score. And we may have to develop a system where we don't have a 20-goal striker, but in our forward line, our foremost forward players, be it Bruno, Marcus, Anthony, Martial, and whoever is on the right, be it Garnacho or Sancho, they would have to all contribute to that overall goal tally. So we do have like a Man City where we know all the goals coming through Eric Haaland. We will have multiple points of attack and multiple shots.
I hear that.
I would agree with all of that, because my question would have been, as Courtney was saying, which Rashford is he saying is overrated? Rashford the winger or Rashford the centre forward? You could make the slightest of cases for Rashford the centre forward because it is not his best position. However, we must bear in mind that come January, and I might be jumping ahead a little bit here to what you want to talk about later on, we have to replace the man who has left the club. And whoever we brings in will be a junior forward to Marcus Rashford. So now Marcus Rashford has to assume more of the leadership mantle and more of a senior player mantle. So I want to see how he performs with that before I start to call him anything close to overrated.
You know, one of the things I observe, there are a lot of players, their mentality, their psychology is a bigger part of their game than actually their skill or their physical work ethic, right? Two players that to me stand out like that is Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandes. When Bruno Fernandes was looking horrible last season and just wasn't hitting the heights and the levels he was hitting before, a lot of people was like, yeah, well, people in the league figure out Bruno and that is why. And I don't think it had anything to do with that. Because we also saw attitudinal changes. We saw him arguing with referees. We saw him complaining for calls. We saw a lot of change with the demise of his game. And to me, it was more of a psychological issue. I don't think Bruno was working out less in the gym. I don't think he was training less. He probably was even training a little more, right? Putting in a little more work. Rashford as well, putting in a little more work because you're not on it during games. But these guys, so the confidence boost of having a good World Cup, I think would help these guys when they come back. As I said, my only concern, especially for Bruno Fernandes, is fatigue because we don't have a replacement for Bruno Fernandes. There's nobody in the team that we could say, hey, Bruno, sit down and we could confidently put a man there to start. You understand? In that position. Because Ten Hag has tried it, we really haven't looked too great.
No, I wouldn't say that. I think Eriksen can play that role, but it would mean tweaking the system to suit Eriksen's strong point. Eriksen has to play with runners. And the concern, well, now you could play probably Casemiro and not Fred, but Casemiro and Scott at the base of that triangle. That gives him that little more freedom to do what he does best.
Well, I hear you. I don't think Eriksen could do that number 10 role and be as high up and advanced. He has tried Donny in that position, and Donny hasn't looked good.
I really don't know what's Donny's problem, I just don't see it.
We will see how things progress. But more than anybody else, Bruno Fernandes is the man we can't afford to lose. He and Delo are the two critical pieces that we can't afford to lose right about now. Martin Phillips is saying, I think Rashford is still developing, and he will develop into a 20-plus goal striker. I hope the guys on the panel will sing praises to him when that time comes around soon. So I was expecting Rashford to continue his trajectory and improve even more. Guys, I want to talk a little. Let's talk a little bit about teams. The knockout stage, the group stage, is almost finished, right? We have 4 more games tomorrow. Please go on, and that's going to be it for the group stage. Let me just touch on this comment here because we're not going to be getting back to it, right? So Albi is saying this talk was happening to Dele Alli, and look what happened to him. I remember very well those conversations about Dele Alli being the next big thing in England.
No, but Dele Alli has been the victim of his own success. Because let's be real.
We know where Dele is now, but we don't want to get into that conversation. I just wanted to touch on the comment. Good afternoon to Sylvester. Blessings in the house. So, yes, so talk to me. Teams. Which team has been the most overrated coming into the tournament in the group stage, and which team has been the most underrated? Zaire, you go first. Talk to me.
Now, it would be very easy to twist the knife in and tell Chad, who I thought was overrated, but I won't do that. I'll say Belgium. For the fact that you're coming to this tournament as the second highest ranked team in the world. You've been called the golden generation of Belgian football since before the 2018 World Cup. Right? You are boasting one of the best midfielders in Premier League history in Kevin De Bruyne. Right? You are boasting some supremely talented young players on your team and older players as well. Right? And you also have a Lukaku. Well, that doesn't mean that he's that good, right? But you have a Lukaku. right? So you have the workman, you have the workman in coveralls and construction boots. You have a Lukaku, right? Yet you have one sod all for the length of time you've been ranked that high and called the golden generation. I am extremely delighted that they got put in their place and sent to. Now it's clear that there's a lot going on behind the scenes in that camp. So however they sort it out, they have the next couple of weeks to fix things. In terms of underrated teams, gentlemen, I will look at the team that won that group, Morocco. People seem to hear Morocco, think African team, and think it ain't all that great. But you look at Morocco and you realize that they have now decided to play like the sum of their parts. When you start to call names like Ziyech, and you start to call names like Hakimi, and you start to call names like other Moroccan stars on that team, these are guys who have done it for their clubs, right? A guy like Hakimi has played at the highest level in La Liga and Serie A, right? Ziyech has done it at Ajax. He has done it at Chelsea, right? These are not guys that you can take lightly. So I will put Morocco there, and I will also put, based on today's results, the Japan team. Don't let the aberration of losing 1-0 to Costa Rica fool you. They turned around and beat two of Europe's elite teams. Both of them come from behind victories. So let's not sleep on Morocco and Japan. Last World Cup, we had first-time semi-finalists and a first-time finalists. I would not be surprised if it happens again, at least for the semis, that we have at least one first-time semi-finalist.
All right. Dr. McCartney,
I
who you consider most overrated and underrated so far?
The overrated team for me right now, I would have to agree with Zahir, has to be Belgium. I saw some things today that, boy, Lukaku, boy, you're concreting them feet, boy. No matter what first touch.
Timberland boots, boy. Timberland boots.
I seen here that a comment saying Netherlands are underrated. I would never say the Netherlands teams are underrated. They've never been underrated. They're normally known as a European powerhouse, despite the bad patch of form they've had for the last couple of tournaments. They always, on paper, have a pretty decent team. My underrated team would have been Saudi Arabia. After that 2-0 win against Argentina, I really and truly thought that they would progress. It's unfortunate that they didn't. I can't remember who they played on the last game. Who did they play?
They lost 2-0 to Poland, and then they lost 2-1 to Mexico.
Right. Well, I was really hoping that from that Argentina game, they would have kept on and gone in and given that group sent home either Poland or Mexico.
It's the King's fault.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. Unfortunately, also, I think CONCACAF teams are having a struggle. We are having a struggle in this World Cup. For all the hype that they had the Canada team, and the Canadians didn't play a bad brand of football. It's just, I don't know why. I don't know. But that's my two overrated and underrated teams.
I want to go in a slightly different direction. Of course, I would agree with Japan being underrated. I would agree with the likes of Belgium and Germany being overrated. I can't argue those things, but I want to go in a slightly different direction. The favorites coming into this World Cup was Brazil, Argentina, and France. Two of those teams have been playing like dominant teams. France and Brazil. Argentina, even though they ended up being on top of the group, they lost to Saudi Arabia, and they didn't look They really didn't impress against Mexico. They won, but they didn't impress. Right? Mexico could have, and some may say should have done better in that game. Poland really ain't playing no football, so it is what it is. Right? So Argentina to me has coming in as one of the tournament favorites, was definitely overrated. And the team for me that was underrated is England, because England came into the last couple tournaments with a lot of hype. Oh, it's coming home, and all of this drama and all of this hype. England has been floating under the radar, and I think a lot of people really didn't expect England to do anything, right? You know, nobody in talking about England, no commentary, nobody in rating England. England just kind of floating on. But Gareth Southgate, if he chooses to play attacking football and not go ultra defensive, has the weapons on that English team, has the pace on that English team, has the creativity on that English team for England to actually do something. And coming into a tournament where not even English supporters was saying, yeah, England going and do something, you know, they more or less was like, yeah, but we're just going to participate. Right? That's how English people were singing coming into this World Cup. You know, we just participate. You know, normally they just be all overhyped. It wasn't like that this time.
Well, to be fair, I think that came out of what happened, what transpired last year in the final. If had they won
in the Euros final,
yeah,
yes, but they actually reached the final, and still normally you would get the English media, whether they really have a good team or not, tends to overhype England. But this tournament, that wasn't the case. I don't know if it's because they're just anti-Qatar right now. I don't know.
No. You see what's going on?
They're not hyping up England. So England for me is my the underrated team that is overperforming, is doing well, that people didn't expect.
You see, what we experiencing right now is something the world has never seen. Sober England fans. Right?
Hey boy. Hey, Zahir boy.
Right? they can't behave the way we are accustomed to seeing them behave.
The expectations are more level. They're not in the stars.
Right. So they by force of rule, they have to exhibit sobriety and level-headedness. Therefore, they're not getting carried away with the "it's coming home" talk. But listen, I think Senegal is perhaps the worst matchup they could have had, because the team is fit, they're big, they're strong. I want to see how Harry is going to handle those big guys up front bullying him. And as much firepower as England have, Senegal will run with them. So this is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, I think it's a tough matchup. But I would also say this: the African teams that have progressed have done it with pure grit and determination. Nothing else. As the people say, spit and elbow grease.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wanted to touch on this topic a little later, but I think it transitions well into where we are now. So I'm going to ask the question now, and it is on the record, which big team in the next round do you expect to be going home first? Now, to help you all with answering that question, let's just look at the teams, the lineups, right, for the next round that have been set so far. So you have Netherlands versus the USA. That is going to be Saturday. As well on Saturday, Argentina versus Australia. And then on Sunday, you have France versus Poland, England versus Netherlands.
England versus Senegal.
Senegal. England versus Senegal. Monday, you have Japan versus Croatia. And we're going to find out the rest thereafter. We're going to find out who Brazil will be playing. And, afterwards. So far, who is the next big team, based on what I've called out so far, that you will expect to be heading home?
Well, confirmed as well would be Spain and Morocco.
Yes, right? Spain and Morocco.
Right. Out of what you've called there, You all
Croatia
know
can go,
cricket is my first love, is my passion, is my everything, right? So I am anti-Aussie to my heart because of cricket,
but
right?
is Australia a big team?
I would no. I would love them to send
Listen,
Argentina
yeah.
home. I would love them. For the first time in my life, I will probably borrow my sister Australian hat or jersey and wave it. However, I don't see it feasibly happening. The one I think people mightn't expect is I can't see Poland sit down, do almost nothing for 3 games, and then figure that that same approach will work against France.
You can't see that.
No,
I actually see it just that. I
No.
expect Poland to just lie
Sit
down
on the
there.
2090 and hit them on the counter.
Yeah, it's serious.
They had to do
That is
something
exactly
more.
what I expect.
They have to do something more. The USA Netherlands game, I think it might be a bridge too far for the US because I don't think the
Well,
Netherlands have really been pushed.
That is actually my upset. That is the team that I think
No.
Netherlands would be the big no. In the context of this World Cup, Netherlands didn't come in as a favorite, but in the context of European and South American powerhouses, Netherlands, US, Netherlands is a big team. And I think the US, not because the US team is that good, but because this Netherlands team dominates a lot of possession, but they're struggling to score. I think Netherlands could actually get sent home from the US.
The US is missing a clinical striker. If they had
you're not impressed with Weah so far?
No, I'm not. No.
And
no respect to his father, because his father growing up was one of my idols. I wanted to be
Milan legend, boy.
But they're missing a Josie Altidore type, Clint Dempsey or
Landon Donovan,
right? Or even Landon Donovan. I'll take that. They do have and that has been their Achilles heel throughout qualifying and into this World Cup. USA should have the kind of chances these guys created in their group games. They had no right to come out where they came out. But we will see.
So Zahir has given his, I have given mine. Who do you think is who you choose as the next big team to head home?
I think Croatia could get upset. I think Japan could send them home.
We don't think Morocco could beat Spain?
A 50-50.
No, I don't think so. I wouldn't be upset if it happened, but no, I don't think so.
Morocco has had some good form.
The interesting thing about Spain is over the years, before they actually won their first tournament, their first major tournament, Spain would always have real good teams on paper and underperform.
Correct.
If this Spain team underperforms, then yes, Morocco could be them, right? But if they perform, no. Martin is right saying that he thinks that Senegal could send England home, and I agree. After US Netherlands, I think the next upset that could take place would be Senegal England again.
But I honestly,
England should have enough. But you can't take Senegal for granted. You shouldn't.
I would be happy, I'll be honest with you, if we have an African team in the final.
I don't see anything wrong with that.
Of course.
Right?
I think it's
for that Senegal England game, I think the longer that game goes with scores even, Southgate will revert to type, shore up the defense, and play for penalties.
England has a horrible record with penalties.
That's all right. He go take his chances against an inexperienced.
And when you have that kind of quality, when you have quality to call on the bench, because you're either starting one of Sterling, Grealish, or Foden. As far as I can see, you should start Foden. But you still have somebody to call on to come off the bench. A man like Grealish, who for some reason does just have a sign on his back, kick me.
Yeah,
right? Who is bound to get fouled? 10 minutes ago, you bring on Grealish, you're almost guaranteed to get a penalty. I'm sorry to say it. right? Against Senegal, they almost guarantee that penalty. There's no reason for England to do that against this team. But Southgate has proven to be stubborn, so Zaire might be very right. Time alone will tell.
Just remember who Senegal's goalkeeper is, huh?
Mendy.
On his day, he is unbelievable. On his day. So, gentlemen, before we go into the top shots and Boo Boo Man segment, Manchester United, the news has come out that the owners are hoping for a sale as early as the fall, which means that they are hoping to possibly sell the team before the end of the season, right? Or early into the settling of the next season. And now there's no guarantee, but all the signs, all the indications are positive. One, there's a lot more genuine interest. Even though Liverpool was listed before Manchester United, things seem to be, there are a lot more people interested in buying Manchester United than buying Liverpool, right? And we're also talking about people with real money. Not a whole set of just consortiums, but people and organizations with real money that could just jump out itself. My question is this. Cristiano Ronaldo and Manchester United have parted ways. So we need to replace Cristiano Ronaldo because we do not know what is going to be taking place as far as Martial, how durable Martial is going to be. We don't know. I personally believe, and I predicted this even before the World Cup, that Martial is going to have an unbelievable second half of the season. And I stick by my prediction that after the World Cup, he's going to play like a man possessed. Huh?
We could take it that they're putting it on
the record. Yeah, you could put him on the record. I think after the World Cup, Martial is going to play like a man possessed, and I don't think
he's number 20, 25. How much goals? Call a number. I'll put you on the spot.
Overall, what he has right now, about 3 goals and 2 assists or something like that?
Yeah, something so.
Maybe he have 3 goals. That's plenty so far for the season.
And that is what, 15 games played for United.
But he didn't play 15.
No. I mean, the team.
Yeah.
I would say, for me, he is going to have... So he have 5 goal contributions so far. I think by the end of the season, overall, all competitions, he's going to have over 30 goal contributions. Goals and assists. So which means between the end of December and the end of the season, he had 25 more goal contributions. Those are the numbers I expect from Martial. Right? This season. Now, that being said, we need to replace Cristiano Ronaldo. We're saving 17 million on wages between now and the end of the season, with parting ways with Ronaldo. But my question to you all is this. Considering that the Glazers' focus right now is selling the club, do you all think we're going to buy anybody in January with the particular situation that the club finds itself in right now?
I could see it going both ways. I could see them making the investment just to shore up the squad so that they would be in the best position in the table. Because let's be real, the higher up they are in the table, the more money you could demand because the asset has grown in value. But I can also see where...
Just now. So what you're saying is you don't see it being prudent for them to ignore the club and allow it, like, for example, not to finish in Champions League. You don't want to devalue your asset. That's what you're saying. You don't want to devalue your asset. You want to keep the asset viable so that it would gain you more money. So from that perspective, you are saying you could see them allowing the club to spend money, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
But I will also say that I can see where they could say, you know what? We're looking to sell. We're giving them it as is. We're not looking to invest anymore. We're not tying up anymore about our money. And however they finish, they finish. We wash our hands. let the new owners worry about that.
What's the user?
I think they'll buy because here's the thing. They're saying they wanna tie up a deal by around March, April before the season ends, right? However, we all know that even if you have two willing parties, these things are never as straightforward as it sounds. Right? Part of the sticking point there might be who exactly is going to inherit or pay off the more than $500 million in debt that the club has. Is that debt are they going to minus that from whatever they charge the people for the club, or is if somebody pays 5 billion, are they in effect spending 5.5 billion because they have to pay off $500 million in debt? Right, so I can see there are going to be some sticking
That's
points.
a valid question that I myself am waiting to get answered.
Right, so
From
that
the
one
standpoint
affects
that
the bottom line.
the 5.8 that we're hearing quoted, does that include the debt? Are you asking the new owners to pay off the debt? Or is that what the Glazers want to take and the new owners still have to service the debt? We haven't heard that question answered.
So
That's a question I would love to get answered.
So that's one thing. So if this lingers closer to the end of the season, as I think it might, right? Qualifying for the Champions League, boy, that adds in some significant millions to the price because it is the revenue that will come into the club by us being in the Champions League, right? So it gives you a selling point. It also gives new owners the ability to attract different types of players in the summer, should they want to come out splashing some cash in the summer. And let's be honest, we have positions in the club we need to strengthen in the summer. Even if we buy a striker in this January transfer window, we had to look at right back, we had to look at centre back, we had to look at possibly a goalkeeper. We had to look at areas down the road. So I believe the business sense in that if they invest a little, and as you said, we're saving 17 million in wages that we would have paid Cristiano. So on top of that 17, let us say they may have to add about 20 to 25 to get themselves a striker, right? And you get yourselves a striker and you increase the chances of the club qualifying for Champions League, and that adds on significantly more than the money you put out for one player.
All right, let's hope. I don't know what the Glazers' attitude is. My only thing is the benefit of being Manchester United is that we generate our own money. Right? They don't have to put any money inside, but they are the owners. And as long as they are the owners, they have the final say on whether yes, spend money and buy a player, or no, leave that money in the tilly. You understand what I'm saying? It's not like they are dip in their own pocket. Right? They're not dipping in their own pocket. So I know we took a little bit of a loan and spent some extra money this summer. I don't know exactly what money is there at Manchester United right now, but I hope we really do go forward and buy a player. To answer Martin Phillips' question about who is available, it's the only talk right now on Manchester is Cody Gakpo.
Yeah, but the thing is, Cody Gakpo is not an out-and-out centre forward.
Good. I was not going to say that. He is not an out-and-out centre forward. That being said, I think a front three that is mobile, that is interchangeable, can work in Ten Hag's system. So I'm not opposed to Cody Gakpo.
Yeah,
but I would also prefer an out-and-out centre forward. But the question is, who's out there? Who's a good centre forward that we could get for 100 million?
Gakpo would be the easiest deal to do, simply for the fact that he and Ten Hag have the same agent. So Ten Hag can get direct contact.
And then we also have the same way we have good relations with Ajax, through Van der Sar and others, because even before that, we have had Manchester United has had most big European clubs have good relations with Ajax over the decades. Remember the manager of PSV is now
Ruud van Nistelrooy.
Ruud van Nistelrooy. And we also that's, if I'm not mistaken, that's where we got Malacia from. So we have good relations there as well. So it might be an easy deal for Manchester United to do.
The other thing is it might be cheapest, 1, 2. And then
no.
Not after the World Cup he's been having.
No. But cheaper than who else?
Yes, it would be cheaper than some, you know. It may be cheaper.
It's cheaper than the Osimhens of the world, which is some of the other names they're touting. 1 and 3. Let us not discount, you know, the possibility that England may get to the quarters or maybe the semi-finals, and they might come back home and somebody might pay 30 million at us for Harry. So there you go. Long live Harry.
What are you saying, right?
Zaire, you're really hoping real strong on that.
Wishing for plenty days are here. Harry not moving until even if they move him, Harry not moving until any summer. Because here why? We don't have coverage in the back there. So we have Lisandro Martinez, Rafael Varane, Lindelof, and Harry. That's the 4. That's the 4 most senior centers.
Injury-prone Rafael Varane.
Right? So that's 3.
You have to tell Mengi, man. Mengi's back fit again, man.
Mengi, no.
We're not selling Harry. We're not selling Harry.
Right. I was getting to the Gakpo thing before Zaire threw me off there. Now, I hear you chat with that fluid front three, and I agree with you, the fluid front three could work, right? But you already have Ahmad, Rashford, Martial, Sancho, Garnacho. Who am I missing?
Anthony.
I'm missing somebody. Anthony.
Pellistri.
Anthony.
Pellistri. 7. I think Zidane Iqbal could also play out there too. So you have right now 8 players in your squad that could fit into those 3 positions. Marcus can play as a center forward. I know he doesn't like it, but he could play it. And especially if he has runners around him, I think he can be effective. I think they will also float in the idea of playing Sancho through the middle. I don't know how that will work out. I've never seen him run through the middle. So adding another winger type forward, it's a nice to have, but it's not something that we really and truly need. Now, if he was an out and out proven, at least in the Dutch league, an out and out proven striker, then I would say, splashy cash and let's go. But buying another winger / forward don't make sense. It honestly does not make sense.
I hear you, and I cannot disagree with you.
Unless you're trying to save Anthony Martial's health by having a hell of a lot of rotation, right? Because you would start Martial up front as your number 9 and perhaps want to try and limit his minutes to nothing more than 70, 75 minutes a game, right? And hoping in that time you're up at least by 2 clear goals, where you now bring different dimensions into the attack of the team, right? And in that last period of the game, you start trying your Gakpo up front, your Marcus up front, your somebody else up front. Because, I mean, you look at Cody Gakpo's skill sets right now, I think it's safe to say he is more of a Mason Greenwood replacement.
And we didn't even count Mason.
Well, we can't, right? At this point, we really and truly can't, because, I mean, I think I read something somewhere. It's unconfirmed, but the club might seriously be considering having to terminate his contract, right? His contract is supposed to run.
That is not because the club necessarily believe in Mason, but that is simply because the court date that has been is
the court date is, I think, a year and change down the road, right? So they may have.
That's a situation where it will be 2 years before the trial even starts. So we don't know how long the trial is going to be, and we are still paying Mason's wages. So from that perspective, it is not business savvy. So that has absolutely nothing to do with his football, whether we want him back, whether we don't want him back. We examine Captain Mason's contract simply because of the court date and the length period that he would have been.
No, that could put us in some legal hot water. because you're dismissing our employee for failure to work, basically, through no fault of his. Because while he's innocent,
I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about that for the simple reason that Manchester United will not do it if they think they're going to be liable. Them fellas have real good lawyers and retainer. So if they do it, it is because they know they have legal precedent to do it.
Apart from that, they could possibly have an agreement with him. They can come to a mutual agreement letting him know that, hey, here's the thing, right? Let's come to a mutual agreement to terminate your contract to save us these wages, but we're going to add a proviso, or we're going to give you the opportunity to get back our contract once your name gets cleared in a court. Right? You get back
and
training.
If they don't do it, they have already factored in Mason's wages. So if they think it's going to put them in a bad light to do it, they just wouldn't do it and pay him his wages. So that is not even something that is the only reason I mentioned it, the clarification, is because in case anybody was wondering, well, okay, why the club would want to cut Mason, right? Because the club did not indicate any willingness to cut Mason before the court date was set. But because the court date was set so far away,
and that's
the club has to consider it options.
That was set by an anti-Manchester judge or whoever.
Not even that. You see, and in the UK system, and you would come to realize this if you follow the UK system a lot, you generally get very quick court dates, especially when they have all the ducks in a row.
The investigation was already a year, and they set a court date a further year, which means you're giving the prosecution an extra year time to prepare the case. So they're going to have 2 years to prepare.
Somebody has it out. To me, I'm sorry, it sounds like a conspiracy theory, but somebody has it out for somebody. It is either that they still unsure of themselves and feel the prosecution need more time.
I think it's exactly that. I think because Mason Greenwood, because the case is so popular, is a high-profile case, they're trying their best to give themselves the best opportunity for success. So the more time they have, because from my understanding, the young lady is unwilling to assist. So, who knows what could happen in a year, right? From my understanding, they're on and off again still. Who knows? Maybe she could break up. Maybe the police could wear her down and she might...
Just tell the two of them come down to Tobago and experience some Tobago love and all will be well.
So, I think the prosecution is glad for this court date because it helps them. It helps their side. The defense, however, I don't think anybody on the defense side would be happy with that. But nonetheless, let me just read this comment and we're going to head into our next segment. No Ronaldo and somehow no one on the panel has factored in injuries without using members of the academy. United will be on the receiving end. We need a striker, but we cannot give you a name besides the names that have been floated. And Cody Gakpo is the name that has been floated.
I think the Ivan too.
We are an injury away from calling up the striker. Don't know why.
Charlie McNeil.
Charlie McNeil. We are an injury away. Right. We are an injury away from calling up a striker from the academy. That is how serious it is. Believe you me, that is how serious it is at United right now.
Remember, so, gentlemen, to that point when they called up Marcus.
If only that person could be as successful as Marcus, we'll be in good stead. We are here for the Top Shutter and Boo-Boo segment of the program. Top Shutter is that person, team, sports personality that is having an amazing week. The Boo-Boo is that person, team, sports personality that is having a horrible week. Talk to me, gentlemen. Who wants to go first today?
I'll go take it this time. My top shot of the week are the 3 women who handled that World Cup game today. I was thoroughly impressed. I'm glad to see that a woman have stepped in and they had a pretty decent game. I can't think of anything offhand that I was like referee mad. Unlike some of the other games during the World Cup. My boo-boo man for this week, boy, is a toss-up between the Germans and Belgium. Sorry, boy, Chad, boy, but yeah, boy. You can't be at a top tier team in the top 20 in the world and you go on how many first round, boy? No, man. Better than that.
So in the comments, Carlton is saying top shutter Rashford, Boo Boo is Ronaldo. I mean, trying to claim a goal as not yours, I could totally understand.
I could see Ronaldo doing that. So I need
Martin Philip is saying Rashford top shutter as well. Boo Boo Belgium. I could also understand that. Talk to me, Zaire. Who's your top shutter and Boo Boo for the week?
On top of the all female referees, today I wanna add the US women's team, because as part of their collective bargaining agreement now, the bonus the men's team is getting, because they now have an equal pay agreement, the bonus that the men's team is getting for reaching to the round of 16 gives the women part of that. And the money that they are getting from that represents almost 3 times what they were given for winning the Women's World Cup. So partner, whoever do the negotiating for them, whoever helping them out, them had a falling top shutters as well. And you know what? Let's face facts, guys. India has given their female cricket team equal pay as the men. It's time that we got on board now and made sure that our outstanding women athletes get treated the same way. 1, 2, Boo Boo Man of the week. Chad, my brother, yes, my brother, and I love you. But you can't go from winning in 2014 to getting knocked out in successive group stages and still want to act like 7-1 kill the mojo of Brazilian football. I see in you, the rest of the German fans. Sorry, that one night in the Maracana can't be enough to save Ole from being the Boo Boo Man.
Fair enough. I totally disagree with equal pay for sports personalities. I totally disagree, but that is a conversation for another day.
We can have that in the rum shop. We go have it in the rum shop.
Actually, no, that's not a bad idea, because the United women playing at Old Trafford on Saturday morning. Right? So big up to our girls.
Yeah.
And you had a girl woman in that panel, eh? It can't be only men in the rum shop. You had a girl woman in that panel.
At least
we'll work on that. So my top shutter. Actually, I'm gonna start with my boo boo. My boo boo of the week is Belgium, but more so Kevin De Bruyne. I think Kevin De Bruyne's statements deflated that team. When the best player on your team does an interview, when you will still have an opportunity to qualify for the next round, and says our best opportunity to win has passed. And from my understanding, that really disturbed the dressing room of Belgium. There are certain players that were very upset about that, who was not talking to who after that, because the dressing rooms had a split on who not support his statement, but who support Kevin De Bruyne and who was against Kevin De Bruyne. And it was just chaos. That was really, 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 really not called for. I mean, you wouldn't even get a Moroccan player making a statement like that, and they're not coming in the tournament with the hope of winning. But once you're in it, you could win it, right? You are Belgium. You are one of the best players on the planet. How could you talk about our best opportunity has already passed? Nah. Fail with our one, Kevin. And I really rate Kevin De Bruyne. He real good, but
maybe it has some mafioso links there, because I see a man playing with cement shoes, but
I don't know if he was just hurry to get back to the Premier League and play for Man City. I don't know, but that statement to me, and Kevin De Bruyne is not somebody who is known for being tactless.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's not known for just making reckless statements. So I really don't understand it. I can't figure it out. And I think that also would have affected the psychology of Belgium. So that is my boo-boo of the week, Kevin De Bruyne. My top shutter is going to have to be Japan. You know, I understand that it is easy to say that Germany underperformed. And I would have said that if Japan didn't beat Spain. Because Japan beat Germany and they beat Spain. And doing that tells me that maybe the headline should be less about the underperformance of Germany, and maybe the headline is really how good Japan is, that we have been underrating Japan.
I don't know if any of you are anime fans, but you know it is for that team to roll out Hiten Mitsurugi style, complete with Hadouken, and probably waiting to unleash a Bankai in the round of 16.
Yes, boy. Get him.
It's like Hadouken to your
Indeed.
chest, you know. That take me back to my youth days in the arcade, and all I heard is Hadouken.
Now what? The Japanese team running, boy.
Yeah. So as I said, no, if it was that they had just beaten Germany and they scrape in, I would have said, yeah, Germany. Failure, full 100. But the fact that they beat Germany and Spain,
both come from behind.
We need to give Japan props. We can't dismiss Japan by just Germany just underperformed. No, to me that is a dismissal of a team that has played and deserved the stripes. They deserve respect because they beat two big teams, two European powerhouses, two former cup winners. So my top shutter for this week is Japan.
But not just the team, the fans sitting down in the ground for games that don't even involve Japan and cleaning up stadium, boy.
Nah, boy. But you gotta get them full forward for that, eh? The Japanese people are very well mannered, very well structured. So I'm not surprised at seeing them cleaning up stadiums, aren't they?
So we're giving the whole clip. We're giving the team, we're giving
fans,
the coaching staff, we're giving the Japanese supporters, the whole of Japan right now. Top shutter.
Tell them they can send the bottle of sake to the United over care of Chad.
We're taking that. You know we just drink rice wine in Trinidad. So according to one of our premier songsters, we drinking anything, right? So we taking that. Gentlemen, thank you all very much for being part of the United Hour today. We have obviously Old Talk on Sunday. Most likely it wouldn't be at 3:00 simply because there are football to watch, World Cup going on. So the Old Talk might be around 6. Old Talk might be around.
Might be
all
in
things
the air,
being
so
equal.
I'll try to jump in if I can.
Carlton is saying we need to get a Japanese woman on the program.
Anytime, brother.
Carlton, send a number now.
Anytime.
Carlton, DM me and send my number. I don't know. I don't know any Japanese women. Sorry.
Complete with kimono and umbrella and everything.
Zahir. Right.
You gotta help our brother out. We are more than willing to host a female Japanese guest on Sunday. But we need help. So help our brother out. From the United Hour, Zahir, Courtney. Remember, Red Devils, we don't die. We multiply.